In late day trading on Tuesday, I finally pulled the trigger and bought shares in 47 companies. I bought Apple, Bank of America, Coke, Wells Fargo, American Express, Kraft Heinz, US Bank, JP Morgan Chase. You don't believe me? Well, I did. I bought Moodys, Delta Airlines, Goldman Sachs, Bank of York Mellon, Southwest Airlines, Verisign, Vita. Wait a minute. Something just doesn't sound right. Okay, let me come clean. I didn't make individual purchases in each of these stocks. Instead, I bought Berkshire Hathaway. No, not the A shares. I bought the B shares. And no again, at least if you've been reading the news lately, I am not Bill Ackman of Pershing Square Holdings. So, let's take a look. If you don't know Warren Buffett, he took about $10,000 in seed capital and turned it into billions and billions and billions through Berkshire Hathaway. Buffett has stuck to a simple investment strategy, looking for businesses that have sustainable competitive advantages and buying those companies when he perceives them to be trading at a discount. Buffett has been in charge of Berkshire for about 50 years, and when he buys a stock, he typically hangs on for years. For instance, the average top 10 holding of Berkshire Hathaway has been held for about 7.5 years. From a quick view, one would think that Berkshire has a diversified portfolio of investments, but on a closer look, one would find a surprising lack of diversification. As reported in the recent 13F filing, as of the end of June, Berkshire Hathaway owned a stake in 47 securities, some of which represent different classes of stock from the same company. However, the portfolio was highly concentrated in 3 sectors, as well as 5 individual stocks. We've all heard about the importance of diversification. On the contrary, Buffett's belief is that, and I quote, diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes little sense if you know what you're doing. And by focusing most of his efforts and attention on selected sectors, his track record speaks for itself. And according to the most recent filing, nearly 50% of invested money is currently tied up in the financial sector. Information technology is the next largest holding in Buffett's portfolio, representing about 25%. Coming in at third place was the consumer staples, which made up about 15% of Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio. Overall, these 3 sectors comprise nearly 90% of Berkshire Hathaway's $208 billion in invested capital. And the 5 largest holdings by order of size include Apple, Bank of America, Coca-Cola, Wells Fargo, and American Express. Also, as revealed by the latest 13F filings, Bill Ackman's Pershing Square Holdings bought 3.5 million Class B Berkshire Hathaway shares. Ackman has long considered Buffett a mentor. The investment by Ackman was a bit unusual, as he's known for making value and activist bets. But in Ackman's recent shareholder letter, he explained the rationale behind the purchase, and that is, he believes that Berkshire is trading at one of the widest discounts to its intrinsic value in many years. He also said that despite Buffett being one of the most closely followed investors, Berkshire's undervaluation is a result of the fact that it's one of the least followed and misunderstood mega cap companies. So, let's take a look at our charts. And we're taking a look at the 20-year monthly chart on Berkshire Hathaway. Again, this is the B shares. At least through realtimestockquote.com, the symbol is BRK/B. But depending upon your platform, it might be BRK.B or perhaps BRK-B. You'll need to check that out. And for disclosure purposes, I do now own shares of Berkshire Hathaway Class B shares. And as you can see from this chart here, since, say, 2015, 2016, when it went underneath that 20 EMA. Since then, it's been riding above that for the most part, with the exception of this time frame here, late 2018, and then currently it popped through here not too long ago. The close on Thursday is 201.01. Moving on down to the MACD. Now, you might be surprised that I'm buying, whereas the monthly MACD is not showing a bottom or basing yet. But the explanation is this: some of the other oscillators are somewhat favorable. Number two, I'm not too worried about Berkshire Hathaway. And number three, I have lots and lots and lots of dry powder. So I'm just sticking my foot into the water at this point, and I do anticipate picking up more shares of Berkshire in the coming, say, days, weeks, maybe even months. But as you can see here, the basing in 2015, 2016 looked decent there. We don't quite have that yet here. In fact, it looks like the fast line is accelerating a bit compared to the slow line. And then that also shows up here in the histogram. But also showing is the fact that it has attempted a few times to bottom or base, and I don't think we're too far away. We're down at -2. We were a little bit worse off there in 2015, 2016, and certainly worse off in 2009. But I think that soon enough, it's going to attempt a bottom or basing. And I think that sort of shows up here in some of these other oscillators, beginning with the RSI, which is at a moderate 48.54. And you can see here the first bounce off of that 50-year midline was in mid-2018. It got near that in early 2019, and then we had a couple of times where the RSI reached below that 50 line here recently in the past couple of months or so. But I think in general, it to me looks like there's an attempt of a bottom or basing in there. And I think you can also see that sort of circumstance here in the stochastics with 1, 2. We're at the third attempt at that 50-year midline. I think we're going to bounce off of it. Even if we don't, I don't see that as a huge red flag. Moving on to volume, I'm not paying much attention. I'm not sure if this chart is correct or not on volume, but it doesn't really make any difference to me. Moving here into the Williams, again, to me, this consolidation here, all that congestion is indicating to me that a bottoming process has at least started. It may not be at the bottom, but I don't always intend on buying a stock and hitting the absolute bottom. I don't think I've never ever have been able to do that. So I don't even try these days. What I do is I take my trades and I spread them out. And that way I'm going to get some good purchases and maybe some not so good purchases, but on an overall basis, I'll do well enough. So that's my strategy. Again, I probably will continue to pick up more Berkshire Hathaway B shares in the coming days, weeks, or months. So understand that disclosure. And also, you need to check the charts and you need to conduct your own fundamental analysis before checking out Berkshire Hathaway. At least for now. That's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.